Joe.
Hey, Steve, how's it going?
It's going good, Mark.
Hey, one thing we got to talk about tonight? This is our last broadcast
In this studio.
from this studio. We're moving over to the we're going to move over to the Meade Media Group studios over
That's right.
in the Messenger building. And this has treated us well here. We've
has.
we've had a lot of good shows here, a lot of good times.
That's right.
And I'm going to miss it a little bit, but hey, new and bigger and better things. We're going to move over there. We're going to have a lot better setup and have a lot more capabilities once we get over there.
So at the Messenger Studios, we're actually going to have this big old awesome setup. There's going to be 3 sets in there. So we'll have the chair-to-chair type, like you'd interview the president of the United States. Then there'll be the lounge setup. And then I'm going to have a high-top table set up. And there's a lot of interesting podcasts that are going to be coming from that studio. So I'm very excited. Local sports, reviews, interviews. Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a blast, I think.
Speaking of interviews,
Well, you know who we have with us today?
I do.
I
know her very well.
favorite representative,
yes. From
Miss
District 27.
Miss Nancy Tate.
That's right.
you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
So I just got you posted this weekend. Every week in the paper, by the way. Keep that coming. I can tell you that our readers absolutely love hearing what's happening on the floor, of the House. I know I'm still trying to get Steve's to come in every week, but even in the Senate, there's just a lot of activity going on. And recently, I know we had the One House bill, which I was excited for because, I get on 31W and I'm driving like we're going to Louisville and you can't see it. And Landon is already asking me, he said, Daddy, what's that adult XX place? And I said, it's
not for you, son.
it's not for you, son. We sure is a lot of people parked over there. And I said, well, those people, let's pray for them, okay?
Yeah.
And then we keep going. You know what I mean? But I don't want to have to answer for that to my son. He's 8 years old.
Right.
And then the next thing, I'm going to have my 5-year-old asking when he can see above the window and the 2-year-old. But I think it's a fabulous bill. Let's talk about it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. So what we're talking about is House Bill 402.
Yeah.
And so this was actually, a version of this was filed last year by Senator Lindsey Tishner, and it was, just for the details, it was Senate Bill 115, and it got a lot of attention. And so I worked with her over the interim, over the summer, to come up with and to draft language that would be actually, wouldn't prohibit theater.
Right.
Wouldn't prohibit someone who wanted to cross-dress. That's not what this is. It wouldn't prohibit a lady who wanted to maybe show too much cleavage, whatever. It's not to prohibit that at all.
Right.
The thought is that adult entertainment should be limited. Access to adult entertainment should be limited to competent adults. And so
That's right.
we are defining what adult entertainment is in the regards to from a sexual performance.
Right.
And this bill, some people are saying that it's going to eliminate or prohibit drag queens from activity.
Right.
It's not doing that at all. Basically, what it's doing is saying that any facility that houses childcare, libraries, schools, government facilities, those adult businesses have to be 933 feet away from, and those performances have to be 933 feet away from a children entertainment.
I don't want to put you on the spot.
centers.
Why this such exact number?
Yeah, so that's very interesting. So
I bet it has to do, I got to guess. I bet it has to do with the same thing about yard signs, and they got to be on the other side of the county road. I don't know, but go ahead.
That's a nice round number.
I know.
so that's the average length of a city block.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's not going to really affect Meade County a whole lot.
But that's a distance, a city block. I mean, I've been in D.C. numerous times. I got numbers of city blocks under my feet. But yeah, that's
But still 930 feet. We determined that that's a safe enough distance to keep our children's eyes from away from that type of
one block.
sexual activity.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, I got you.
So what we've said too is that in the event that an adult entertainment facility is within that distance for the 933 feet, they have 5 years. They're grandfathered in for 5 years. So that would give them plenty of opportunity to move or to determine whether or not that's the business model that they want to continue with. Now, what we've also said is that if a church, because that's also within the 933 feet regulation, if there's an adult business entertainment facility that's
Yeah.
actually established, if a church decides to move within that 933 feet, that church knows what they're doing.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Right, so that adult entertainment business would be, again, grandfathered in.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, I think that
But not at a timetable for moving. They wouldn't have to move at
They
that.
would
but
not have to.
Only if it's at a school or a.
But they still wouldn't have to move because the school would know, anybody would know
I
that
got
the
you.
adult entertainment facility is there. Yeah, so we're trying to be conscious of the fact.
Oh, so if an adult entertainment business
Mm-hmm.
is established somewhere and the school board comes and says, "Hey, we're going to build a school 500 feet away,"
Yep,
then the adult business doesn't have to move.
they do not have to
Okay.
move. Yep.
Well, you
Or-
said 5 years. I was thinking about
Yeah.
that was a timetable on how long they would be grandfathered in, but it's not. It's like,
but you're
there's two different clauses, right?
yeah.
okay,
Yeah, one is when this passes, if the adult facility is there, but they're close to a library, then they have the 5 years. But then there's the other thing, if the adult business is there, adult entertainment business is already there, but then one of the protected organizations comes in and tries to build.
oh, okay,
beside.
I got you. The
Right.
5 years is they have 5 years to vacate because they moved into an area that wasn't. There was no law that established it couldn't be there.
That's
Right.
right.
There's still not a law yet. Let's be clear. This is a
Yes.
bill that's before the House.
That's built
That's
before
right.
the House and before the Senate as well.
So there's a Senate bill.
But
as
it,
well?
but it, what you're saying is it's to get after it to protect our children.
Yeah.
And I bet probably a lot of this stems from a lot of the things we've seen in the national media where they've got, drag queens in classes. And to me, I believe that that's a level of perversion that I don't want my kids seeing. I don't need to be unscrambling that for my children when they come home.
And we've actually, and to your point, I mean, we have in some of the larger counties seen this type of activity as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
Here in Kentucky.
Well, I appreciate that you're bringing that to bear so you can continue to protect Meade Countyans and represent our district, because I you know my story. The last year and a half I've been my life changed, and these kids are everything. I don't want to be unscrambling their brain because somebody else
hard.
put
It
that
is
stuff.
hard.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Once you see that,
Yeah, you can't unsee it.
I
No matter
just
what age you are.
literally just had this conversation with Landon yesterday. I'm not kidding. Because, Liam will tell me that he watched something on YouTube. And I said, you're not allowed on YouTube. That's why they only have it on their tablet is the kids' YouTube. And
Right.
that's it.
YouTube Kids,
But he
yeah.
goes over to his neighbor's house and that kid can watch whatever he wants to. And I said, Landon, I'm not going to be able to let you go over there anymore if you're going to watch that YouTube stuff. Because, Liam got scared watching something. It was one of those scary clowns. And it was like a clip out of a scary movie.
Was that a little while ago?
No, it was just recently.
Okay.
But yeah, and now I've got Liam jumping in the bed for 3 nights in a row because he's scared having visual flashbacks. You can't unsee that. And whether it's, the scary clown, but we're talking about my children don't need to be exposed at their age, period.
Well, why don't we just let kids be kids?
Yeah.
Why do they have to worry about what sex they are or what their sexual preference
100%.
is? So
Right.
let's just let kids be kids.
Yes.
And let adults be adults.
Yes.
And that's just that separation, that break is to me is
Yeah.
so very important.
Yeah,
This is one of the, I remember back in the, 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
and I'm that old, but I'm not that old.
You're old,
but
dude. You're
I'm
old.
old enough to remember the discussions, about, pornography and, rated X movies versus rated R movies
Mm-hmm.
versus, NC-17. And, it's like, when we were kids, they wouldn't even let you into an R-rated movie
That's right.
unless you were 17.
Yep.
Now,
Not even with the
now,
parent.
I don't think they even care. Nobody cares. It seems that a child, and the reason that rating is there in the first place is to say, hey,
You're not allowed.
We shouldn't expose our kids to even brief nudity because it creates problems down the road. That it creates a sexual appetite even at a young age. and that warps what their
Yep.
sense of
Makes it a lot easier
what's
for people
real
like
and what's
Planned
not.
Parenthood to offer abortion instead of a life strategy, because we've got our kids where they think that that's what we should be doing, like
Well,
a bunch of rabbits in a
people talked
cage.
about the
You know what I mean?
slippery-
I'm just saying.
Back in the 70s, people talked about the slippery slope of
Yeah.
allowing these things, and they said, "Oh no!" But you know what? We've slid down that
We've
slope,
slid down.
Yeah.
we sure
and here
have.
we are. It's like
Every
now,
time we give an inch, they takes a mile.
They take a mile. They you know, they try to, and then they try. What they do is they try to. We give them an inch, and they try to, run us off the road and wreck us into
Yeah.
a ditch.
Yeah.
And they don't. They're not. They don't even care what they get. They just. They want everything to break down.
Yeah.
They want back to total. They want to go to total chaos.
So when you this is your bill, right?
Well, actually, we've got two. So Senator Tishner
Okay.
and I filed exactly the same bill, she in the Senate and me in the House.
Okay.
And the thought is that we'll run them simultaneously.
And they come together.
they come together.
And how much support are you seeing from the House on your side after pitching the bill?
Well, we'll see, right? I
okay.
think, since she ran this last year and it passed through the Senate and came to the House.
Okay.
It came over too late. We really didn't have the opportunity
Sure.
to vet it. Okay, so the thought is you've had a year to vet it. We've even worked on it, resolved any of the issues that
Sure.
the senators and the representatives that they were communicating. We've addressed all of those issues. And so I feel like that, this year will be a good year for this bill.
What do you think is the largest obstacle for this bill?
Yeah, I think that one of my concerns is I said, I wish that we had finished this last year.
Sure.
Then we wouldn't be doing this again next year.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my, one of the people that I work with says, well, Nancy, do you think this will ever be over? Do you really
Mm-hmm.
think that these conversations, to your point, sexual awareness, sexual education, sexual entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
sexual entertainment has been discussed for your entire life, our entire life.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
And so it probably will never be over. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, I think will we grow weary over having these conversations? And some people,
I'm going to suggest not. I
Well,
think
yeah,
that
but-
there's
We'll-
somebody takes up this mantle, and each generation it seems to say, "Listen, enough is enough. This is wrong. We can't be. If you show this information or this picture or this video to a child, then you are setting them up for." To be preyed upon down the road, because they'll have these thoughts in their mind about that seems to be normal. Well, maybe it's not so bad if neighbor Joe touches me like that, right?
yeah,
and that becomes a thing. It really does.
right. And
Yeah.
I think that there was Mark reminded me in one of our Me Truth newspapers, there was some conversation about this, if I'm not recalling. Or there was something along the same lines, and some of the response was, "Quit putting this trash in my."
Yeah, I mean, there's
quit putting this in my mailbox. We're just talking about the issue, and people see that as trash. I agree with it, but it's unfortunate that we even have to talk about this or to address it.
Yeah.
That's life, right? I mean, the situations like this and this conversation.
well, people don't
will
believe
continue.
that there's a lot of people out there that, Nancy, they don't believe this is a problem.
I agree.
Yeah.
They believe, oh, you're just trying to impose your morals on another,
and my religion,
and your religion
Yeah.
on someone else. And that's not what we're talking about.
No.
There's a psychological problem that occurs in children when they are exposed to sexual content.
Yep.
It's a psychological problem. It's not, most kids don't have sexual thoughts. And at an early age, there's some that may, I'm sure there's an occurrence of everything, but I'll tell
I
you,
think that happens in a natural way, where they become familiar with their body and their body parts. But even when I went to school, it was done very professionally. But you had home economics. You had to take classes that showed you the responsibilities that come with having a child or being in a relationship.
Well, I mean, sixth
but they
grade-
don't have that because they went to STEM for the longest time. They got rid of arts. You got rid of home ec. Heck, nobody knows how to iron their clothes. You know what I mean? I had to learn how to iron clothes, use an oven, All kinds of stuff when I went to high school. So I had a sewing class. I
had to learn how to
middle
design.
school.
We had to learn how to design clothes and different things, and
But
sew,
the
sew it by
schools
hand.
don't have enough money to teach all that stuff.
No,
but
but look at what they are teaching.
But
you know.
what they're teaching still ranks us. I don't know. I think we're what
I would like to see
47th
that,
in
Bill.
the United States for teaching or education.
I actually just looked at that because fortunately, I've had several groups of teachers come to see me lately. So what Dr. Martin is doing is he's encouraged each one of the schools to send representatives
Sure.
to visit with Senator Meredith and I, which I think that's a great idea. Absolutely welcome that. But that's one of the things that I had to recently, because of the conversation, where are we ranked? And of course, you know, we just got that, just recently got our test scores back.
Yeah.
In 2023, we were ranked.
It was low. It was low. It was in the 40s.
Yeah, I think it was 20.
Wow, that's a whole nother conversation that I'm willing to have right now.
Yeah, one was 23 and one was 39. And the reason why was because one was K through 12 and one was obviously the universities. And so, you know, you average that out and it's still, you know, 40 and 23, whatever that is. I don't do math online anymore. Or,
That's all right, hold on.
When we're on the air, because
Rankings, education. Here we go.
yeah, so you know we've got some challenges now. Of course, you take if you and I agree with this. We've got 171 schools in Kentucky. If we take out the larger cities, if we take out Jefferson County, then that tremendously changes the view, right? I mean, we all love our really small rural schools. Love them. And of the 171, we had 70 distinguished schools.
Number
in
27.
Kentucky.
What?
27. Okay, there you go. So so that's good. I
Well,
mean,
hold
that
on, wait a second.
But
It's
if
in
I'm
the
not
middle.
mistaken,
But I want to ask
ahead.
this question.
but we were whenever I first started campaigning for this position, I think we were actually ranked 45th.
We were in the 40s for sure.
Absolutely.
But
right.
let me just say this. But I don't really care.
Care
I don't care what that scale says. Because what are you measuring me to is the question. What is in their scale that says this is what we want our kids to know? That is more important to me than where our number is.
Yeah.
Because if it's about LGBTQ education,
Okay.
I would like us to be
DEI.
49th,
Right,
please, or
DEI.
50th.
That's right. Okay.
Right. So and I'm not trying to bash a group or what have you, but I don't think that should be things that our kids are taught in school. And so we can the moral debate behind all that's a whole nother subject. But what I'm talking about is there should be a review of what we're being ranked in. What are they saying? If we're 27th, what does that mean? I want to know the exact scores.
Yeah.
The exact
categories,
I want to know
categories.
I want to know the exact
Yeah.
questions,
Yep.
and then be able to identify whether or not that's a question I even care about.
So here I'm going to give you this.
Okay.
It's number 27 in pre-K through 12. And then we're number 32 in college readiness, and number 39 in math scores, and number 32 in NAEP reading scores.
But again,
I got it.
nope. Again, I want to go down. I want to say this.
1 out of 50.
I don't care about college readiness.
Well, okay, but if you-
College is not the
but that
most
means
important
that
thing in the
everybody
world.
graduating from a high school,
But career
is-
readiness is really what it should be.
it should be.
Exactly.
Well,
I got
Whether
that.
that's college or I'm ready to go into a field or into
But
or
that's
go to
saying
a
that-
union
I got it.
learn a trade.
But they're saying that we're ranked 32 because the kids that graduate from our high schools don't have what it takes to take on the challenge of college. They're not ready. That means that if we're ranked that bad, then that means a majority of our students are not ready to go to college. They're having to spend extra time in college.
What
No,
about-
what does it say? What was that actually said? We're what?
Number 32 in college.
What percentage of our children
I
have?
didn't say which percentage.
see, we don't know if it's most or not.
But no, you have to say if we're number 32 out of 50.
But let's look at this one.
There's a lot
It's
more
just ranking
students.
against the others. Maybe the others are really, really, really.
I don't know.
What
Yeah.
was,
don't know.
What was you read 39? What was that math or reading?
That was. Give me a second. I'm pulling
That
it back up.
One of them was math or reading.
Reading. Let me
Yeah,
pull it down
39. Okay, so we will all agree, right?
I love this
Reading,
conversation, by the way.
writing,
Mm-hmm.
and arithmetic are some of the most important things.
You can't join the army. You can't even take the army test to join the army
unless you can read.
unless you can read and do arithmetical reasoning without a calculator.
Right, yeah.
And they only
And it's basic math too.
It
right?
is.
Yeah, it's not even like it's not calculus or algebra.
Not well, algebra X plus X, but
Okay,
I mean we're
okay.
talking, yeah,
Yeah.
cancel.
Basic.
You know,
Yeah.
Right.
solve and cancel, right?
Right.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I'm
but we were
trying-
39th in our ability to read.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and
That's-
I'm not saying it's not important
Absolutely.
but let's make sure we're measuring
we got
ourselves
people
to the
that
right
can't even-
standards.
We got people that misinterpret what they read and then put out the wrong information all the time. Not going to go there, but you can read through the lines on that one.
Well, yeah.
But what I was going to say is, okay, so, obviously that's a national ranking, and I think that that's very, very important. It is. I mean, there's some things, some elements that are important and some that are less important.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that. I do think, though, that one of the things that I want to say is that of the 171 schools,
Just want to correct. It was 23 in reading scores and
okay.
number 34 or number 34 in math. Oh wait,
Steve-
that's the wrong one.
Steve, what
yep.
was that? What's the date on the article that you're
Hold
looking
on
at?
a
'Cause
second.
This is done like it's a moving target.
I missed
It's
it. All
for
right,
you.
I'm sorry. Number 39 for NAEP math scores and number 32 for reading scores.
Yeah.
All right. The date of this was taken.
So we have moved up. I mean, 5 years ago, 8 years ago, we were actually ranked like 45th, something
Yeah,
like
it was. Yeah,
So
I mean,
now
we were
we're-
definitely in
we're-
the 40s and
Absolutely.
firmly in the 40s.
firmly in the 40s. Now we're like, in the 30s, right? And I think that so we're making some progress. Do we still have some effort to make? Absolutely.
But again, I really want us to break this down and understand what do we expect our kids to be? Do I need to rank myself against all the other states? Or should I just simply look at what I think is important and we develop our own Kentucky standard to say, kids, we want our kids to reach this level of ability,
Competency.
of competency. And now we focus, because if you start focusing on what California is doing or what Texas is doing or anyone else, or New York or what have you, we're not going to catch up, because we're always going to be holding ourselves to their standard.
Yeah, but let me give you an example. Here's why to me it's important. Okay, so like whenever I used to work at UPS, and I used this example earlier this week. When
This ad is not paid for by the UPS. No, I'm just kidding.
No, right. So I was in the IT division.
Yeah.
Our corporate office for IT was in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
It was in New Jersey. So if we wanted to take people from Louisville and move them to New Jersey, most of us didn't want to go to New Jersey because we didn't want to be exposed to that large city activity.
That's expensive there,
It was
too.
very expensive, right?
Yeah.
Now, we would have been compensated for that financially. We would have been compensated, but we didn't want to. But at the same time, most of the people from New Jersey didn't want to move to Kentucky, even though they knew that it was.
I knew those guys.
cheaper. Yeah, it was a lot cheaper to live here. We have great. It's great.
Yeah, because you remember I used to work. My
Right.
company used to do work for
Absolutely,
UPS, so I was constantly going to New Jersey.
Me too,
I spent a lot of time in
absolutely.
Paramus,
Yeah.
and up in there, and
Right.
that was kind of like a test area for
That's
most of the
right, yeah.
stuff that we were dealing with.
But we couldn't talk people from New Jersey to move to Kentucky, especially if they had children, because
Yeah.
they didn't want to move their children to an area where education was so poor. As far as they were concerned,
Well,
we were actually stunned.
But
by
would
their
we
children's
be-
growth.
This was May
So
of
this is what-
23.
Oh yeah,
but-
that's pretty close.
Here's the thing. I believe that if we not worry so much about that standard, and we develop our own standard that says we think we value these things first, right? Then ultimately we will move up that scale as well. But we're going to drive ourselves to.
Yeah.
We're going to say these are the important things that we think we should be doing. The math skills, the reading skills, the things of that nature, and focus on how do we teach our children these things, and be focused on career readiness
Yeah.
versus college readiness. We don't need 100% of our people to go to college. That is a farce.
I'll agree
Yeah.
with that.
Hey,
But
Thomas
Right.
Jefferson
But
said
that's
that
what
only
they
the learned
want.
Well,
should-
what if you're in Washington D.C. and you're trying to figure out which schools to give the funding to? Now, if you have a state that is doing less, or not doing well on these national scores, then wouldn't you want to know that so you can actually potentially send more state dollars, or excuse me, more federal dollars to those states in order to help
The states that
those-
need help, or the
Yeah.
states that.
the
But
states
the
that
money
need
is
help.
not the problem.
Well, it could possibly be. It
Well,
could be. It could be.
But I mean,
It could
I
be,
mean,
okay.
let's just. I mean, let's fix the school system. Okay, let's fix the school system.
You're not going to fix the.
No, I know we're not in reality because there's too many forces against. fixing
Before
the
you go
school
down this
system.
road, hold the thought. I just want to make sure
I'm
I
gonna
get.
step out and let you just. Do
No,
what you
I
wanna
just
do,
want to make
'cause
sure. Hold on, I just want to make
I'm
sure.
going to get passionate in a minute.
That's all right.
Well, but I like this debate.
USnews.com is where I got those figures from, and I just wanted to make sure that I gave our reference
Oh,
so
thank
that
you.
these
Gotcha.
numbers. That's all. And now you can
Yeah.
take off and go down that road. So it's not us making this up. This was a report done in May 2 of 2023,
Yeah.
and it was from USnews.com. You can go find it right there.
Okay, first of all, I'm not saying that there's nothing.
Beneficial
I'm
these
saying there's
national
nothing
scores.
beneficial about those scores.
That's what you're not saying.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Sure.
But I don't think that basing your reactions within your state and the laws and the things that we put together are worth just trying to drive that score up. Because that score is about college readiness.
Well, not all of them. Not all of them, because Steve actually read the reading and the writing
Yeah.
and the arithmetic. Which,
Yeah.
even
Right,
the
but-
college readiness, let's just throw that
But they're
out.
gonna.
We
They're,
all
but
agree that
but tell
not-
me, the federal dollars are about trying to get more kids into college.
No,
Yeah, but
well,
That's
maybe-
that's what we've
Okay, let me ask
brought
you-
ourselves to over
well,
the years.
But let me ask you a question, Mark. If you've got, this is a true statistic,
Yeah.
probably last year, if you were to look, 70% of the kids in the inner cities in Kentucky, in Jefferson County, can't read or write. Now, do you think that that's a problem?
Absolutely,
100%.
Absolutely.
But that test
So-
is not going to. Is not.
we know that
test is not the
attributes to
thing.
recidivism.
Yes, it is. Yeah, yes, it is, because they're using the same test scores that the kids in Meade County are using. They're using the same test, and they're using the same.
But if you're going to
scores.
send money to the same system that's broke,
But that doesn't necessarily mean, again, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to throw money at it, but it is certainly
Well, I
helps
mean-
us to identify where there are weaker
yeah.
areas.
Well, again, I'm not saying
So
that we.
I think we can use that same test scores and those results.
I
for
just
the
don't
comparison
agree with it.
them.
I think that the test is skewed towards trying to build one type of child.
So even
I
if
don't
it
see
determines whether-
that those test scores are trying to build career readiness. They say that they're. I mean, the survey says they're looking for college ready students.
But-
well, if a student wants to go to college, then they're going to prepare themselves to go to college. No, Meade County schools, right? I loved going to Meade County schools, but they did not prepare me for college.
I understand that.
Right,
So let
because
me-
you got counselors that were going out
we
trying
went to
find
school
that.
many years ago.
Well, yeah, let's put that on there. I graduated in the '80s, so we were in kind of like a transition period of life.
So
but
what is the average? At what grade level do you think is a competent reading level?
I think, a competent reading level.
Yeah, even if you're going to go into a trade.
If you're in the
if you're
12th
gonna go-
grade and you still can't read at the 8th grade
but
level.
even if you're going to go to the Army, even if you're going to go to,
But see, I don't
work for a
know
union,
that-
even you have to be able to read at a certain grade level.
No, I think that everybody should read it at I think when you graduate, you should all be at least the goal would be for all of us to be at a 12-year grade level. But what is that? Right? What words are you reading in a 12th grade versus a 8th grade?
I'm telling
Right?
you what,
I mean, I
I'm
could
gonna
read
tell you-
everything when I was in 8th grade.
But I'm going to tell you, Mark, I'm going to let somebody smarter than me figure that out. 'Cause
Well,
I don't
I'm not-
Really
but
know.
here's the problem, though.
Just because my mother made me memorize the dang
Yeah.
dictionary.
I don't remember
I read
memorize
the-
the preamble to the Constitution.
my mom didn't have
In
to
the
make
8th
me.
grade.
I just liked reading
I
the
know,
dictionary and
yeah.
learning new words.
I had to memorize 10 new words a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Landon's got to do 20, so I'm pretty proud of
I
that.
looked at it that I got to read it. I had a dictionary.
That was probably
but,
one of her ways of,
well, it's like
it wasn't
I
punishment for me, trust me.
yeah, and I was, and I'm not saying. I guess I understand where you're coming from, but all we're doing is I'm trying to say, if I put my kid's score into the mix and they get back and says, "Oh, you're in the 50th percentile," right? Which means half the kids in America are smarter than you are and your grade average. I don't care about that. I want to know what I need to do to help my child get better.
But how are you, as a parent, going to know that?
I want you to tell me how many they missed. What did they miss? So that I can now help them work and,
that's
then
what
develop around that. They don't
that's
tell
what
me
they
that.
do.
They don't tell me what I missed though. They don't tell you what you missed. They just
Well-
tell you how you did compared to everyone else.
All right. But they basically tell you what is your weakest subject. How about
They,
that?
well, they do compared to everyone else.
Yeah.
What if everyone else was in the 99th percentile and I was the only, one of the kids that was like, below that? Well, everybody's in the 50th percentile. If everybody's at 99%.
Right. Well,
I'm
see,
just
Mark,
saying
I'm
that-
just saying that I don't understand. It's beyond me how you could potentially.
Well, I think
measure.
I'm not saying it's an easy. There's any easy answer. I just want us
think
to
that-
stop thinking about, hey, how are we doing against, how are we doing against Texas and Alabama and California, and start saying, how are our kids doing against the standards that we wish that they would be?
I guess
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time
This
figuring
is
this out
interesting.
because I've always been QPR based and I've always measured. We've always had.
Yeah,
our
I mean, I'm the
criteria.
same way.
And I mean, I love numbers and I love the data and I love to crunch them and I
But-
love to know who's the least best.
But my job
That
is
was one
that
of
my
jobs.
job is quality, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So my job, I'm a quality manager within my company, and when I'm
How do you
what-
measure quality?
well, there's a couple of different ways you can measure it based on a scorecard,
Right.
but
On a
but
scorecard.
but I have to be able to take that scorecard. All right, I can say this is an indicator, a key indicator, right? Key performance indicator, and sure that you can look
Right.
at that.
But you can look at-
have to somewhere along the line be able to tell the family of that child exactly what the areas that they are weak in reading. Just saying they're weak in reading does not help me prepare my child
But your
better.
product, you can tell. Look at the three of us, and we're all very, very different. We have very
Oh,
different
absolutely.
expectations. So my interpretation of quality is going to be very different than Steve's, and it's going to be very different from yours because of the way we use those products. So it's kind of hard for you to.
Well-
you're measuring your quality based upon you and your company's
My
expectations.
I if I can change that a little bit, I base it on my customers' expectations.
But that's what I'm saying. We're
Yeah.
three different customers. We have three different expectations. So it's going to be it's going to be difficult.
But
for you
you've chosen
determine.
to put together a test that says I'm going to measure the quality of the education of my child. Right?
have.
Not you.
yeah, I got
And
you.
the
Society
general
has.
society,
Society
you,
has,
right?
absolutely.
Right. And none of us disagree with taking the test.
okay.
I'm
And
not,
the reason why
wait a
we
minute.
do that is because we.
I'm not going to give up to you just a second.
No,
And
go
the reason
ahead.
Because
why
I'm
we
on
do
this.
that is it helps us.
Yeah, but
determine
I
where our
have
weakest
something to
spots are.
say, and you need to
I
hear
know.
what I have to
I
say.
want to hear it
because
because
it's
I'm afraid
not
you're going to
fair
pull me
that
somewhere else.
You want to go? No, I'm not going to pull you anywhere else. It does not help that we have gone to this great length to do. I don't care what standardized test you come up with.
care it either.
The problem is not just that we test or we design a test that develops the next generation of workforce for Kentucky. What doesn't help us is that we put so many rules in place that restrict the teachers from being able to hold students accountable and
we'll agree
parents
there.
accountable
Yeah.
for the lack thereof or the home life. And I can take that backwards a little bit out of the classroom when we don't provide enough social workers to handle these caseloads that are going on with families and inner city schools and things like that help give us the discipline and the structure necessary. We just saw a cop get the living snot beat out of him by people that aren't even from this country, who are being housed by this country, and then they cannot even hold him accountable. So if we can't hold people accountable for lawlessness, how do we expect to hold students accountable for the education levels at which they're supposed to progress when we tie the hands of the teachers?
Well, and that's a good question because one of the groups asked me what I was doing to help these schools, and I said there's not a silver bullet because not only do we have the opioid addiction that has
Sure.
absolutely ravished
Yep.
our state.
100%.
I mean, we've got the discipline problems, we have the workforce issue, so I'm not making any excuses.
No, there's none. And
for
there's
us
no
and-
right Band-Aid other than
and to try to tackle each one of them one little bite at a time. And that's
Now,
exactly what we're trying to do.
I think we need laws in place that instead of trying to hold teachers accountable, that give teachers the authority to hold students accountable and that hold parents accountable, and be a part of the education process and not just dump their daycare. You know what I mean?
Isn't that the problem with in order for a free society to operate effectively?
Yes.
There has to be discipline instilled. There has to be people holding themselves accountable.
Yes.
And so that's one of the issues, obviously, that we have with
Yeah,
a free
and-
society.
and we can't-
that is
yes.
operating under the rules that we have right now.
Which brings me back to this bill. At least we can control what our kids are seeing.
That's exactly right.
You know what I mean? And maybe not in the class. Well, yeah, it's definitely not going to happen in the classroom, but especially
No.
in this,
It's a different
it won't.
subject.
That's a different subject. But
If
it
we're
won't
not
be near
careful,
the school. It won't.
if we're not careful, they'll want it there.
But it will.
Yeah.
This adult
But-
entertainment will not be allowed in a government facility, which is including schools, and so therefore
you
or
go. Right.
a library, and so therefore we won't have to worry
That's right.
about this, or we'll hold people accountable for this violation of.
I would say that there would be a lot of money taken from a school for that.
Well, one of the things that the last year's bill, there
Mm-hmm.
were some monetary penalties. So what this bill says is that the license to operate
Yeah.
could be revoked, including the liquor license.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly
I mean,
right.
those are the things that
I bet you they got them gaming machines in there too, probably, or something. If they're doing one kind of evil, there's got to be another kind of evil. I could hear my pastor up on the stage talking about it. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
Well, this bill's not going to help that evil.
No, I know. I got it. Yeah. Well,
But it will prohibit the adult entertainment
sure.
industry from moving into our libraries and our schools.
Oh, got a camera. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I'm moving screens because we got a little bit of a lockup happening here. So, but keep on going. You guys are good.
Oh gosh.
So, well,
But anyway, you asked what were some of the number one issues, and one of the biggest issues is obviously this is a budget year.
Yeah.
And so we have worked on this budget for a year. I'm really proud of the fact that I'm the co-chair for the Capital Planning Advisory Committee. And basically what that means for every capital project that's estimated to cost over $1 million has to come through my committee for us to analyze each one of those projects and determine whether or not we recommend those to be considered for the budget. And so I will tell you, as we know, and this is another topic of discussion, is that inflation has raised the price of everything 40 to
yeah.
50%.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we've seen it across the board. I mean, you with the paper,
Yep.
us with our business.
Printing costs, everything.
right. Yeah.
Mail, postage.
Absolutely. So in addition to that cost, we've actually had a 40% increase in the number of projects that are
Yeah.
coming through this committee. And if you think about a lot of the, when we talked about this week, in Frankfurt with the teachers, is that think about our state parks. Most of our state parks, those facilities were built in the 60s and the 70s. And so a lot of them have not even been remodeled. So you're seeing where those remodelings are coming into the state budget, and we're working on those facilities one at a time. But those are multi-million dollar.
Well, I think that's the right way to do it, though.
Absolutely.
Pick one, get the list,
Get the
prioritize, and then that should be a rotating list.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to, if parks are important to us, then we have to,
Yeah.
we have to take care of them. We have to pay for those things, and
And tourism is very important to this state. It's very important to every
Yeah.
state, not only for for entertainment purposes, but it's also for monetary purposes as well. And so we're letting those commissioners tell us what are the most important locations and, how do we address them. And so we're doing that. We're giving the commissioners
good.
those opportunities to tell us the number one issues in each one of their lines of business. Yeah.
I know that's it's kind of affecting us here a little bit because there's big discussions going on right now about Otter Creek Park.
Of course.
And
Absolutely.
because the Fish and Wildlife who own and run Otter Creek Park currently, they don't really want to deal with the campgrounds. They don't want to have to deal with that. So they're in discussions with Meade County about taking that on as a county project. So
That's actually happening.
It's actually happening.
That
It
is.
is.
That has
It
already
is.
been
They
voted
haven't-
on, and
they haven't. I don't think they've signed the final lease yet. We talked
No,
about it in
but,
our-
I mean, yeah, they
we talked.
voted.
We talked about it in the Parks
They've-
and Rec the other day. So
the county is approved. It's just a process of making sure that the lease meets.
well, there's some costs and things that have to go into that. And we had a lot of questions in the Parks and Rec, and I shouldn't go into it here because
Yeah.
we're not. I don't have the whole team, but we had a lot of questions in that about what does this mean? What does that mean? Where does you know what's the pay
Yeah, I think they've
schedule?
already posted for the jobs.
They have posted for the
Yeah.
job.
No, they have. They
That
have.
train's on the track. There's
It's
irreversible
not going to
momentum.
stop. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that not everything.
Everything's not finalized.
Not
Yeah,
everything's
sure.
finalized.
Yeah.
So there could be a wild possibility that something would come up. and
You mean
become
like
a
the Dallas
showstopper.
Cowboys coming back and winning the Super Bowl? Yeah,
No,
that didn't happen.
That doesn't happen. Yeah, that's impossible. No,
I hear you.
you know, I can't help it. You're from Texas. You know.
Funny guy. You're a
Hey,
funny guy.
yeah, but you know, I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan, so let's put that out there and think about that.
No, I hear you.
We've never won one, so anyway. So, but those are aspects of things where it's like, you know, that it takes money to run that, they have to put people in place, and you know, there's a lot of things that go into that.
Oh, I'll tell you, I'll be camping there because it's only 2 miles up the road. Have you seen the cost of gasoline?
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I drive my camper right up there and park it.
yeah. I mean,
Drive from there to work.
we've
and then
known-
I gotta be
we've known a
camping.
lot of
My kids
people-
won't even know the difference.
we know a lot of people who do the exact same thing. They find an RV park that's close to them. They pay the monthly fee to be there, and they keep it parked there. You know, that's what
Well,
their
I don't know
parking
that
spot
this
for the
park will be
summer.
like that, but it's not
Oh,
much
no,
for
it
me to
can
take
be.
it out of the garage,
I think
drive
it can
over
be.
there.
I think ultimately it will be, you know, at some point.
I think it'll be great. You know who I think that'll be great for? Our Fort Knox partners. Because when
yeah?
they have Cadet Command coming in for CSTs, these guys are coming from all over these college campuses, all over, not over just Kentucky, but all over the United States. And they're here all summer long to support Cadet Command. And you got colonels, and they'll bring their campers, and they'll stay in that camper and then, you know, drive out to the range and run a range all summer. It's like summer camp for them.
I mean,
You know
the
what
other
I mean?
thing that'd be good is like, you know, they have cabins and things that you can go out there and rent, like 12-man cabins.
Yeah.
You can go do some. You can do some retreats from different like team building things and stuff like that. So there's lots of opportunities, and I think it's going to be great ultimately. But it's going to take a lot of work and stuff to get that off the ground. And like I said, there was a lot of questions about
Maybe they
you
can
know,
get
how
some.
this is going to work.
Maybe they can
and-
get some BB-Tel fiber net out there too,
there's-
so they have internet.
Yeah, that's
then you have internet.
No,
and cell
that's
phone.
that's in the works.
Is it really?
Yeah, they're
Good.
actually going to have.
I think that's amazing.
It's going to have Wi-Fi out there. Yep, it's going to have Wi-Fi out there. So
This ad is paid for by BB. Oh, I'm just kidding. It's not an ad, but
it might be someday.
No, yeah, BB-Tel, get it out there, man.
But
It'll
anyway,
be great.
so just to kind of bring us back around, so we all agree that it's wrong for these adult businesses to be near our kids.
That's it.
Because we don't want adults to have fun and do their thing. That's another, again, that the discussion of the type of fun that adults have is a totally different discussion. It's probably not one for government to get directly involved with what type of it is.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that we can have a moral discussion about that, and that's I think that's more for the church.
Sure.
To be praying and making themselves available
Sure.
to people who are broken by these things and try to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a different thing. But for this, we don't want to create more broken people by exposing our children to that. And I think this is it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's just an interesting. I mean, I get some of my best ideas from some of my, worst critics. I've always said
Sure.
that, and I really truly appreciate the debate. I mean, I can debate almost. You pick one side, and I can pick the other side, and I can.
Right.
I love to debate. I think it's great.
Well,
It gives us the opportunity.
You know, we do it in the Army.
Oh, yeah.
Stimuli,
I mean, this is-
right?
You gotta have the red cell and the green cell. You can't always have somebody telling you things are green
exactly
and beautiful. You gotta have somebody telling you what's the bad side, or otherwise you run blindly.
That's exactly.
And
what's the
like
worst
in
part?
this discussion here, I don't think that we're necessarily on opposite sides of this. I think that we just have a different way of looking at.
You got a different
how-
measuring stick.
How the data needs to be utilized, and that's really what it comes down to for me. Is like I want to make sure that we don't just look at the surface and say, "Oh, there's a problem. Let's put money there."
That's exactly
Right? I want to
Or-
say, what is that data telling me? Dig down. What are the questions? That's why I'm interested in what the questions are, so I can
Right.
decide.
Well, I think I was trying to think about it from the adult entertainment perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's the thing that I've been pondering this week, and I don't even know that there's a discussion or an answer or a debate. But
Oh,
if
yeah.
I'm only doing this because of my religion, well, how do you even know what my religion is? How do
Yeah, I
you
mean, it's
know-
not like you'd come on here and
right.
and
Well, I mean, I can just because I go to a Catholic church or I go to a Protestant church doesn't mean that I'm. What does that mean?
I mean,
could be one of the most-
half of Boston goes to a Catholic church.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can be one of the most liberal-minded people that you've ever met.
Could.
And sit in the same pew right beside you.
Yeah.
So just because I go to a church or show up doesn't mean there's no way to measure what my religion is.
Yeah. So I mean,
based upon
I think that's a I think that's a knee jerk
interesting.
reaction
I
that
think it
most
is.
people in media and stuff have to these type of bills, is because it's the religious. They're trying to throw your religion down our
I'm a
throat.
tight-laced person who's just
I just want to protect the kids from something.
That's exactly
Right.
Right.
And I'll let God deal with your sin and your thoughts and all that stuff. That's not really my part to hear.
And I'm not trying
I'm
to
just
convert
trying to
anybody.
I'm
That's
just
exactly
trying to
right.
make sure that
Yeah.
kids are as safe as they can be, have as much, they can be kids as long as they can be. I think our kids are kids too long these days. I mean, the fact that, if you're 25 years old, you're not a kid.
Yeah, you're an adult.
You should be having kids.
Yeah.
And nowadays they always say, "Oh, well, I'm going to wait till I'm 35." Well, then they find out, well, now it's almost too late. Now you're going to be by the time you have a grandchild, you're going to be 70, right? If you keep that up. So it's like, and I understand. But it seems to me that the more these generations move on, the more selfish we get. Each generation gets a little bit more selfish. Sometimes we come out of that when we get hit adulthood. Sometimes we double down. Some people double down on it. And to me, it's like, I'm glad I'm young enough to enjoy my grandchildren. You know what I mean?
exactly.
That I can see them grow up and watch watch our children raising their children is a true blessing to me. And it's one of the reasons that it was important for us to start a family. We got married, we started a family. That was the point. Going to work was, career wise, wasn't about my career. It was about providing for my
Your
family.
Providing
And
for your
that's all I cared about. And so I wanted to do a good job so that I could provide for my family as long as possible. I've been very blessed
Yep.
in that regard, and I'm really happy. I'm really proud of my boys, because we have 3 boys. So it's not like I'm saying I'm not proud of my girls, because I just don't have any. We had 3 boys, but I'm very proud of them and the men they are, and the family, and the children that they're raising. At least the older 2. The younger one doesn't have one yet, doesn't have any kids yet. So he's not married, so that's a good thing. But you know what I mean? It's like we just need to make sure that. I'm really happy about this bill that's going to at least try to keep our kids innocent.
It's a common sense bill.
A little longer.
It's protect the innocence.
Yeah.
I think
Protect
that's
the
really what
innocence
it
of
is.
it. Yep.
Adults, do your adult thing. Kids, let kids be kids.
Absolutely.
And that's
Yeah.
exactly what I want. And, I wanted that for myself. I wanted it for my children, and I want it for my grandchildren and yours as well. Yeah.
Well, I think that we have beat this horse tonight.
I think so.
All the
It's a
way
good
around.
show.
All
But
the way
it's
around.
awesome that you could actually come out. I know you just got back from Frankfurt. It's been a busy week.
I mean, to let you guys know, Nancy texted me this afternoon. She was asking me about Bill, this House Bill 402, if I read through it and things, and then I said, well, we're going to do our podcast tonight. You want to come on? And she was immediately, yeah, let me go. I went on. Let's
Yeah.
go talk about this.
Absolutely.
And I know it went around. We talked about a lot of stuff, especially a lot about education and things. And that's a passionate thing for me. So if I went down the trail too far tonight,
Not at all. By all means.
I think that it was. I just want to make sure. I have some ideas of how I think that we can do a better job using this data, using the test, and making sure that our kids not just get better against
Sure.
the other states, but how do we just make them the best people we can make them?
I think that's meet the kids where they're at. And
That's
right. So, and perfect example is our career center down here.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I absolutely love our career center.
I do too.
And I love all
Tons of
the
opportunity there.
community effort that went into.
And they don't
making
need to
that
go get a college degree after they get done there. They need to go right into the workforce.
Well, and they can absolutely.
Yeah.
One of my brothers was a great machinist. So he learned that through the vocational school.
That's right.
in Breckinridge County.
Yep.
He was an amazing. He passed away at a very early age, but he was a great machinist. We've seen some amazing career, vocational people
Yeah.
come
Sure.
out of these centers.
And
I
our
mean, and the-
partners at Nucor are picking up a lot of the, it's a great pipeline.
Some of our, some of our best teachers in Meade County, and no offense to any teachers that we've ever had.
No.
I was going
But
to say
some
that.
of the best ones were were in the vocational school or career center.
Sure.
It was a vocational school when we
That's
were
exactly
kids,
right.
right?
Yep.
But that was some of the, I went to vocational school.
I was industrial electronics.
That was me.
Because we had a PPG plant right up the road, and if you had to learn how to run them motors, because there's nothing like hot molten glass rolling off of an assembly line, and if those motors shut down, that glass is going to go somewhere. It's still pouring out of a hot molten thing, so it's kind of a big deal to know how to keep the motors running.
I still have my certificate of apprenticeship from vocational school somewhere. I have to dust that off. I haven't looked at it in a long time.
I went through health careers. I was going to be a radiologist.
Okay.
What in the heck happened?
Well, my niece did the same thing. She's working at Baptist Health. She's working in what she learned.
Yeah.
And she's doing great.
Yeah.
And but I love, and again, I'm not saying I am, I remember reading about, what they would do in Russia with tests and things and test scores, and they would test you at a certain age. I think we all learned this at some point that they in Russia they would test the children when they got to a certain age, and if they made this test score, would put them in this category, and that was their career path.
Yep.
Right, and then they would separate the kids at that point based on their test scores, and I don't agree with that at all, because I think that as you age and get older,
you get wiser,
and certain things become more prevalent than others.
But then they decided if you didn't cooperate with the state.
Yeah, well,
there was a level of maturity.
The
Listen, I did not even hit the level of maturity for a college. I didn't hit that until I was like 25, 26.
Exactly.
And then I was cum laude, man. I mean, I was knuckled down and into those books, and I liked what I was reading.
Yeah.
I did not have that passion at between 18 and 25. I was perfectly fine in the Army, jumping out of planes and having a blast.
Sure.
I was that guy. I was that guy that I just tested really, really
That's
well.
good.
Yeah.
And I had no problems with tests. I never even. I took my ACT when I was like a sophomore, and I never took it again. That's just I just accepted the score that I had, and it got me into the college that I wanted to go
Anywhere
to.
you wanted to go, opened up any door.
So all I wanted to do was just go down that trail. And now I wanted to go to college, but I wanted to learn about electronics and engineering, because that's what I was doing in vocational school. And let me tell you something: the best electronics instructor I ever had in all my time in school and learning was Omer Horsley at the Meade County Vocational School, and I give him a lot of credit for just teaching me the right way to do things the right way, and he was Air Force taught. He was a airplane, a jet. He was a
mechanic,
electrician.
Yeah, electrician.
So, but yeah, it was very cool, and I really appreciate the skills that he taught me.
Well, thank you all very much for this opportunity.
Thank you for coming on,
Listen,
Nancy.
I think this is newsworthy, so I did go over to the messenger side and I shared it to the messenger.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think what you're doing is great. I'm glad that I'm not. For me and my children, it's my opinion that it's great, but I also think it's great for everybody else's children. But it is newsworthy, and it is what's happening in our house. And, you can obviously reach out to Nancy Tate at nancytate.com, I think it is, right?
nancy.tate@lrc.ky.gov.
.gov. Okay.
That's right.
Well, you got your gov, but you also have because you're running an election right now, aren't you?
I am, actually. As a matter of fact, I'll be on the ballot in November.
That's right.
Exactly right. Yes, sir. I get so busy working on, the bills and working on all these things. I really don't even think.
We almost forget about.
Well, you do have competition, unfortunately, but I haven't seen anybody in the Republican race, which is great because everybody in the party believes in what you're doing.
Well,
So keep it going.
And I am honored.
Yeah, good.
that I have
We
no opposition
absolutely
in primary. So thank you.
love you as our representative.
Thank
So
you. Yeah.
thank you for all you've done. Thank you for. You are one of the hardest working people that I know.
No, thank you.
And so thank you.
Appreciate it. You're welcome.
Well, Mark, it's going to be me and you here closing this out.
All right. Well, you guys, we've missed a few weeks, and we've been a lot of we've been busy. But I know that I don't want to speak for you exactly, Steve, but I think you and I both feel the same way. that we love being on here. We love sharing our views and the people that we meet and the things that we come across. We like to share that with everyone out there.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to the new studio and getting in there and getting a different view and getting some more guests and things in the chairs. It's gonna be nice.
So I think that with that too, just to let everybody know, that studio time is actually your time because you rented the studio. So
Yeah.
that'll be paid for by the Republican Party, even though it will broadcast out as a service because you're paying for that advertisement.
Right. Yeah, but it'll go out to our platforms and things. So
absolutely will.
so yeah, I mean, I know it's something that you're working on, as far as an offering. So
should be up within. Yeah, actually, you can rent the studio and do your own live podcast. So if you're an organization or somebody out there that's trying to get awareness out, you can utilize the Messenger Studios in order to broadcast, much like this is, and do your own show. So
yeah,
it's
give them a
an
call.
interesting feature.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what,
Sierra's house.
Yeah.
all of those. Yeah.
Sure.
So Nancy, thanks for coming on. One last note: we will have our regular Republican Party meeting on the third Monday of February, and we will have a special, or not a special, but it'll be a county mass meeting on March 16th, Saturday morning. At 9, the doors open at 9:30 to allow people to come in. We will kick off, I think. Oh no, we'll open the doors at 9. We'll kick off around 10:30, and we'll be choosing our delegates and such to go to the district and state conventions.
There you go.
So those that will represent the McHenry Republican Party.
I didn't know if you were
at
going
those
to get that out
conventions.
or not.
I was struggling. Anyway, thank you guys for listening tonight. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.